All right. Welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today we have an awesome topic. I have created something special for you guys, and I'm calling it the Core 4 Mobility and Metabolism Reset. It's designed to get you out of pain, help you move better, and fire up your metabolism in less than 4 minutes per day, because I know a lot of people that come to me usually are feeling stiff, feeling achy. They feel like their metabolism is just slow. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put together something quick, something easy that you can implement in your day so that you can get to that point where you're feeling better, feeling like things are working and seeing results in very little time added on. If no matter how busy you are, I'm pretty sure all of us have at least 4 minutes. All right. So before I get into that, because I'm getting excited, as you can tell, I want to get this going. But I got to say, before we jump in, if you haven't already, wherever you're listening or watching, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button so that way you do not miss another episode going forward, because I'm putting out awesome episodes like this every Monday and Thursday, every single week. So make sure that you're along for the ride. Now, let's talk about it. The Core 4 Mobility and Metabolism Reset. Let's talk mobility, okay? For the mobility section, I'm going to give you 4 of my best mobility exercises. But before we get into that, let's talk about why exactly we need these exercises in the first place. So when people are stiff, when they're in pain, when they have something holding them back, it's usually in one of 2 spots. Number 1, the shoulders. Number 2, the hips. Now, can it be in other places? Yes. But a lot of times when we address these specific areas, certain things like low back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, elbows, wrists, knees, ankles, stuff like that can tend to clear up. Now, it's not a guarantee fix all, but for most people that give these a try, it can help a lot. So when it comes to the shoulders, we want 2 things out of it. Number 1 is that overhead reach, that ability to put your hand up as high as possible without being in pain, and also having some strength to take things off of the shelf, whether that's at home or at the grocery store, or putting your suitcase in the luggage compartment on the airplane. That's another big one. Your second part is the T-spine rotation. We want that upper half of your spine to be able to twist freely. The simplest way to think about this is if you've ever seen people do a golf swing, like a professional golfer, you see their shoulders move a lot and their hips kind of turn in the opposite way, or they stay put because they're kind of dissociated, but in a functional way. And when you see somebody who's older doing their golf swing, it's like their whole body goes in the same direction. That's because they don't have that mobility in their hips or their shoulders, and most specifically in those shoulders with the ability to twist and rotate. Or if you want another example that's probably a little more close to home, reaching in the back seat of your car, whether that's to take care of a little one, whether it's a kid or grandkid, or you're reaching for some groceries or something you forgot back there, that twisting motion of reaching back there, that's your T-spine mobility right there in a nutshell. So can you do that without pain? Can you do that freely? And on top of that, if we're talking in the car, if you're able to move your T-spine freely, that usually helps a lot with neck mobility as well. So can you turn your head to look at oncoming traffic or to see if the lane next to you is clear without moving your entire body and possibly even moving the wheel along with it? So this could potentially save you on a car accident or something like that. And then once we've got the shoulders taken care of, what about the hips? Okay, we want the internal and external rotators, the abductors, AB is in Brian, my name, ductors, and the adductors, AD is in Daisy, ductors. Okay, those 2 things are the inside and the outside of your hips, and those need to be able to move because they can play a big, big role in a lot of things up and downstream. And also your hip flexors, which are one of those areas that people feel are weak, or feel are stiff and tight, but they're actually weak. And because of that, it can manifest in other places. So like your low back, your knees, your ankles, because the screamer is not always the source. Sometimes where you're feeling this pain and this stiffness is just a byproduct of something that's north or south of it. So for example, those hip flexors, when they're really, really tight, sometimes it manifests as low back pain. So you do one of the stretches I'm talking about, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I've been bending over to try and touch my toes for the longest time, and I've never felt any relief past that maybe 2 seconds after stretching. But now I've loosened up my hip flexors and all of a sudden it's gone. Wow, this is incredible. And I'm not saying that this will do it for everybody, but for some it will. And I'll look like a freaking magician and we'll just go about our day. All right. So let's talk about the favorite exercises, like my top ones. And just so you know, I'm going to be verbally telling you how to do them, but this is also along with the training I'm doing right now. I'll be doing a YouTube video showing you exactly how to do these stretches. So that'll be in the show notes and in the description wherever you're watching or listening. So go ahead and click that to see what it's all about. And I'll also have some adjustments in there for people who can't get up and down off the ground very easily, who have knee stuff going on, wrist stuff going on. So I'll give you adjustments that I give clients on the floor all the time. So, first and foremost, the number one thing I would do if you don't do anything else, if you just did this exercise, it would probably feel pretty freaking good. Okay. And that's called the world's greatest stretch for good reason. Okay. The world's greatest stretch gets a lot of really good spots. So, in particular, uh, you're going to hit the hip flexors, you're going to hit the shoulders, that T spine rotation, and also overhead and internal rotation of the shoulder if you do it a certain way, which I'm going to teach you exactly how. So, with the world's greatest stretch, you start off on your hands and knees. And then from there, you bring one foot up to the side right next to your hand. So if it's your right side, your right foot is going to go right next to your right hand. And then from there, you're going to stretch out that back leg as far as you can while keeping your knee on the ground. You can straighten out your leg completely, but it's extra pressure on the wrists. So depends on what version you want to do. Regardless, we're really stretching out the inside of your thigh. There's a big, big stretch between your front foot and your back foot in the groin that you're going to feel just by doing this. And what that's going to do is it's going to stretch out the psoas as well, which is another one of those things that manifests as low back pain. So just hanging out in this position can feel pretty good. But if you want to take it to that next level, whatever the hand is that's closest to that foot in the front, you take it and you reach it forward as far as you can. Now, a lot of people do it like kind of like open and close type motion where you just reach your hand to the sky and then bring it back down to the ground. That's fine too, but I like getting the most bang for our buck. So what I try to do is like an overhead rotation where you're on your hands and knees, your foot's up forward, and you're taking that hand closest to your foot and reaching it as far forward as you can, kind of in the direction your foot is pointing. Then when you feel that stretch in your shoulder, you bring it up and around. And then from there, you twist, kind of like you're about to throw a baseball. And then you keep twisting, and then you bring your hand to the handcuff position. So now we're all the way up towards the back of our shoulder blades, and we're reaching, and then you can feel that bit of a stretch in the front of your shoulder. Then you go back the way you came, really, really slow. This is usually where the Rice Krispies start, and you start feeling like, oh God, pop, 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 pop. And then you come back to the start, and you're like, okay, that was stiff. And then you just keep doing that over and over again. I like doing 5 to 10 reps and then switching. And that usually does really, really good because with each round or each repetition that you do, your shoulder starts to loosen up more. You get less snap, crackle, pops. And just a disclaimer, if you are feeling any type of bad pain, don't do it or do one of the adjustments that I give in the YouTube video because we're not chasing pain here. This isn't force yourself into this motion because you're like, no, this is good for me. No, this is good for me. Stop. Okay. That's what gets us in pain in the first place. Just pushing through when our body's telling us not to. We want to flirt with discomfort here, not with pain. There's a big, big difference, and this is a good opportunity to learn that difference. Lean into discomfort, get close to it, and when you stay in that zone where it's not painful, but you feel it a little bit, things progress from there rather than going into pain, and then it's like you're punching a bruise over and over again and expecting it to get better, okay? Do what's best for your body. Now, once we've done that, we've already stretched out the front of our hips. We stretch out our shoulders a little bit and we're feeling nice. Now we're going to go into windshield wipers, which are basically you just sit up on the floor with your hands back behind you, kind of like you're trying to scoot your hands as close to your butt as possible so you could sit up as tall as you're capable of sitting. Then you're going to set your feet shoulder width apart with your knees bent, and you're going to twist both knees down to the left. And as they go down, your right and your left knee, we want to try and get them to touch the floor if you can. And then we're going to go back the other way, twist them back over to the start position and then down to the right and see if you can get to the floor. And if you can go back and forth for 5 to 10 repetitions, this is going to stretch out the inside and the outside of your hips, get a lot of good blood flow in there. And don't be surprised if you can't reach the floor the first time. It's totally cool. You just get better as you do it. This could be done as either a warm up, like I do this for every client who comes through my doors in person. They do this in the warm up and it can improve over time. I've seen it improve over time and you will get to that place. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with the windshield wipers. When you do that, when you twist them down side to side, if you want to add a little extra to it, whatever side you're touching down to, swing your chest and your hands in that direction. So you twist your spine a little bit. That way you get that rotation as well. So if you want to get a little more snap, crackle, pop, loosen up those spinal columns, the vertebrae, it feels kind of nice, assuming we're not going into pain. And that could be a little extra zest to it. So now we've got our hips, we've got our shoulders. What's left? Now we got adductor rocks because we did just work the inside of our hips, the groin area, which is where our adductors are. But these are also really good because now instead of being in a bent knee position, we're going to be in a straight leg position. So you go hands and knees, put your leg all the way out to the side, just one of them till it's straight. So you've got one knee on the ground, you got one outstretched leg with your foot on the ground. And then you just sit back onto your butt and then crawl your hands as far forward as you can. So now we're feeling that big stretch on the inside of the groin, and we're also getting an overhead stretch because our hands are all the way forward as far as we can. So we're feeling it a little bit in the sides of our back as well. So we're getting 2 for 1 here. We're stretching out the adductors, we're stretching out the shoulders. And then when you return back to where you were, so now your butt is no longer on your heel, you're rocking back. So you're more hands and knees position with that leg stretched out. You just keep going back and forth from the start to the finish. So touching your butt with your heel and then rocking forward to the starting position. And you do that for 5 to 10. Then, last but not least, once you've done both of those sides, we do what's called a cobra press. Maybe you've done this in yoga if you've ever done yoga before. You just lay on your belly, hands like you're about to do a push-up, and then you press yourself up while keeping your hips on the ground, kind of like you're curving your spine in the opposite direction, and you just see what you can handle. You don't have to push yourself all the way up if you're not capable, or if you feel a pinching or a sharp feeling in your lower back. We do not want that. You just push up to what you can handle, just going for discomfort here. Maybe a little light pull on the lower back is okay, but not like a pinch or a stabbing or anything like that. Okay. We just press up and then back down. And if you want to start on your elbows and just kind of push yourself up a little bit and down, that's fine as well. And by doing that, we're going to make sure that we're stretching out our lower back very nicely. And we pretty much hit every single thing we talked about. So when it comes to the shoulders, we already hit the overhead position when we did the world's greatest stretch with that overhead reach to the rotation. And we also did it on the adductor rocks because when we sit our butt back to our heel, our hands are in that overhead position. And then we did T-spine rotation because when we do that world's greatest and we put our hand in that handcuff position and we're twisting, that will give us that bit of rotation we're looking for, as well as the other things that we did, which were the hips, like the internal, external, where we got on the windshield wipers and the adductor rocks, we nailed those. And also the hip flexors. We kind of hammered the hip flexors a little bit extra on this, on not just the world's greatest stretch, where we're stretching it all out in like the front of our hip on that back leg side, but also in the cobra press, because we're pressing up, we're stretching all those muscles in the front. You'll probably feel that stretch in the abs, in the front of your hips, and again in your lower back. So we nailed pretty much all the big ones. And when we do that over and over again, good things tend to happen. Now, you can use these core 4 in like a daily movement hygiene. I have some clients that really like doing that just once a day, doing moves like this, whatever is appropriate for them. Like I usually give different variations based on what they got going on, but essentially they're hitting all these exact same spots, and they do it to start the day, like 4-5 minutes in the morning, just go through their thing. And then they feel better throughout the day. They have more energy and they just feel better overall. But you could also make this your warm up. So you could do it before you do your full on workout. And that works really well too, because let's see, we got how many of these? 1, 2, yeah, 2, sometimes 3 of these are what I put in pretty much everybody's warm up when they work with me semi-private in person, because they're just so damn good. And then the other ones find their way into the program when we do mobility work in between our sets of strength training to make sure we're getting rest, but also improving movement quality for this exact reason. So people end up feeling better as they keep going, and they feel better when they leave the session than when they first come in, because of that added mobility and the strength training on top of it. Now, all that to say, I want you to get the best results possible. So I'd be remiss to not mention these other things that help a ton when it comes to feeling better with these mobility exercises. That is, number one, biggest thing you could do to help with mobility is get good sleep. If you have crap sleep, then your body just does not operate the way it's supposed to the following day. You feel more sore, your pain tolerance is a lot worse, and you are just less likely to be able to do the things because now you're tired and you're less likely to have the motivation to even get it done in the first place. Okay. Stress management, also for those same reasons. If you're not managing your stress, it's going to be so much harder to get the job done. And this could be a very good way to incorporate exercise into a stress management strategy. So this could be a help with that. And then also we have nutrition and pairing with proper exercise, which we're going to talk about in our next part, which is metabolism. Okay, we're going to go over the core 4 mobility and metabolism reset part 2. So be sure to tune in for that next episode. But in the meantime, I'm not going to leave you hanging. If you want to, right now, you can go ahead and grab the entire Core 4 bundle by joining the email list. So all you have to do is go click the link down below, give your name and your email, and I'm going to send you the Core 4 training, the mobility follow-along routine that I mentioned with the adjustments for if you have trouble getting off the ground, if you have trouble with your knees or your wrists or anything like that. There's going to be pretty much a variation for everybody in there. And as a bonus, I'm going to include 15 follow-along strength workouts. So you're going to be able to just do your workout along with me. As long as you have a dumbbell at home, you should be A-okay. And then along with that, I'm going to give you my PFC cheat sheet, which will make a lot more sense when you watch episode 2. So do not miss that. And that all being said, if you're listening and you're like, this sounds awesome, like he clearly knows what he's talking about, but I want to get going like now. I need my results like yesterday. And you want that personalized plan and accountability. That's what coaching is for. So if you want to get on top of that, there's also the coaching consultation link down below. Set one up. You and me will have a chat, see if it's right for you, what level's right for you, and we'll take it from there. All right. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope to see you for part 2 in this upcoming one this upcoming Thursday. But until then, go kick some ass. See you later.